celebrating 11 years of possibility. Pilot Flying J and Halloran Hilton Hill present Anything is Possible. Today's guest, Julie Barton.
Welcome to another edition of Anything is Possible. I'm Halloran Hilton Hill, and my guest is Julie Cunningham Barton. When life throws you a curve, what do you do?
Keep on going and count your blessings.
All right, so you won't be able to see this on television, I don't think. But I have a copy of an X-ray of your spine.
Yes.
Let me see if we can, if you can actually see that on camera. Can we zoom in on that so you can see that? That is your spine.
Yes, unfortunately it is.
That is a really messed up spine.
Yes.
That curve. Now, when life throws you a curve, what do? This is incredible, Julie.
Yeah.
You've got to tell me how you could be sitting here so alive and so full of life and vitality and purpose when your spine is, that's jacked up.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. Mm-hmm.
What happened?
Well, the reason, that I'm here.
And by the way, let me just add this. Is this your spine now?
It is my spine now.
Like sitting here now?
Correct, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, tell me the story.
Well, the story is God, really. I look at that X-ray, when people see it for the first time, they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's crazy." And they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry you've had to deal with that." But for me, I look at that X-ray and I think, God's grace, God is great. I have 3 healthy children. I had 3 healthy pregnancies. And really, that's a miracle.
So did you have to wear a brace? What was it like growing up?
I grew up in back braces.
Yeah, what was it like growing up with this?
Well, I was in competitive gymnastics and dance when I was young. And
whoa, you got to slow down.
Before the curve came.
Right. So this is before the curve.
Right.
All right, so you're in competitive gymnastics and cheering.
Yes.
And okay, keep going.
And I kept on falling off the same side of the balance beam. Imagine that. So that was when I was about 11 years old, 12 years old. And my coach said one day, he said, "Bend over, I want to check out your spine." He said, "I think you've got some scoliosis." So that's when we went to the doctor and then went back 6 months later and it had made it a significant, it had gone much worse in those 6 months. So.
What is supposed to happen to a person that has a spine like that with that curve?
Well, it can kind of go one of 2 ways. You can just make a commitment to fitness, exercise, and strength programs, and that's what my doctors, said would be imperative for me. Or you can become a couch potato and wallow around in your pain. So, my doctor said, obesity will never be an option for you. If you get out of shape at all, you're going to be in a world of hurt.
So you decided to just embrace it and go after it.
Right, and I really feel like, none of my doctors, they were all great to say, we're not going to limit your activity. Whatever you want to do and you're capable of doing, go for it because we want you to be strong. So I think that empowered me to feel like I could do, whatever I wanted to. And so I got in back braces starting when I was in 7th grade, I guess, so like 12-ish. And I was in back braces all the way pretty much through college.
Now, you kept doing gymnastics, though?
Yeah, I did. I did gymnastics through middle school, and then I started doing more with cheerleading.
So you're cheering. Were you cheering in a back brace?
I would wear my back brace like 20 hours a day, and then I would take it off for practice and shower and put it right back on and sleep in it and wear it all day during school and everything. And it was a big back brace, it went down to my hips.
So you wore this all the time?
Right.
How'd that make you feel?
I don't know why I was able to handle it. Again, I think it was the good Lord looking out for me. But for me, I just kind of, what worked for me was to use humor a little bit, and pretty much really everybody knew about it. I guess I've never been a shy personality, so it was pretty much out there on the table.
Yeah, would you crack jokes about it?
Yeah,
What?
Well, if the guys would tease me or something like that, I'd be like, yeah, go ahead and try to hit my stomach and maybe it'll break your fist,
Right.
you know, just kind of joke around about it and lighthearted. And my girlfriends, we'd go to a slumber party and they'd all think it was fun to try on my back brace. And, you know, so I think I've always just been able to use humor a little bit with it to kind of get through. So it was definitely not easy. And, you know, when people complain about braces on their mouth, I'm like, I've saved my back brace.
Right.
So someday if my kids complain about braces on their teeth, I can be like, well, look what Mom
When
used
I
to
was
wear.
coming up.
Exactly. I walked in the snow both ways.
So, are you in pain?
I am. I'm not as, you know, not now that I'm not cheering and getting thrown 30 feet in the air and caught, you know, my pain's not as significant as it used to be. But I'm on like an anti.
What was your pain like then? When
In
you were
college
cheering?
was when it was the worst because I was really supposed to be getting surgery. They had recommended I do the surgery. I had just made the cheer team at Tennessee, and they said, you need to get surgery. And I said, well, let me try a different type of back brace and see if I can get through, you know, for the next few years. So that's what I did. So it was pretty tough. I mean, there were many ball games where I'd finish, you know, the whole long day and go underneath Neyland Stadium to the team doctor, and, you know, he's trying to get the back spasms under control and help me out. And
What were the back spasms like?
you know, just the kind that would like take your breath away. Like can't really take a big breath.
You do. So here's the thing that I've noticed about you just on the front end of our conversation. There is a relentlessness to you. Like you don't want to surrender at all to the victim side of this story.
That's true.
So I just asked you about back spasms that would literally take your breath away. Your description is, you know, like they kind of take your breath away, and who does that? That's the spirit that to me represents the possibility spirit, because you don't want to tell that side of this story. Obviously, you don't want to go, oh, poor me.
Right.
Why don't we take a break? When we come back, I want to know about that.
Okay.
That spirit inside of you, because, ladies and gentlemen, she was a UT cheerleader. She was the Vols cheer captain. She was the Vols dance team head coach for 3 years. And now she's celebrating 10 years as owner and program director for her gym, Gym Bugs and Dance Revolution, which is incredible. This is Anything is Possible. We'll be right back.
Possibility powered by Pilot Flying J, Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel. Coming up.
I love seeing the personal growth, you know, in the girls. That's really rewarding to me. And I love to try to inspire the camaraderie between the girls too.
Welcome back to Anything is Possible. The question that I started my interview with Julie Barton with was, when life throws you a curve, you do what? You brace for it. Mm-hmm. That's what kind of hit me during the break there. You do not want to be the victim of an S-shaped spine at all.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Where does that come from?
Oh gosh, I guess just it's just been instilled in me from a young age that, you know, you're going to work hard no matter what, and you're going to persevere. And I've had just a great support system around me. I mean, there's certainly been low days, don't get me wrong.
Right.
If my husband were sitting right here, he'd say, oh, there have been, you know, some nights where I've been in pain, and, you know, he's had to take the, you know, reins on taking care of the kiddos. And I mean, there's definitely been some tough goes, but I've had a great support system, and so I've just learned not to focus on that. And I think another thing that's just been a huge blessing in my life is I've always been really active with special populations. And so through working with them, one of the blessings has just been seeing the struggles that they have on a daily basis and recognizing, you know, although I have that kind of spine, you know, I've been able to do physically really anything that I've wanted and not had limitations. So, you know, it just makes you feel very fortunate. So I've always just kind of tried to focus on that.
That's awesome. I really think that is powerful and awesome. Well, I mean, you've done a lot. Did you think you would end up being a business owner? And your business is hot right now. You guys are expanding, you're growing, and I would even imagine that you have to kind of rein it in because it could just burst the seams.
Right.
Did you ever imagine you'd be Julie Barton, CEO?
Oh, I don't know about that part. I just knew I always wanted to work with kids, and I wanted to do it in a unique way. And I've just been, again, blessed with a great support system, and I just have the most amazing staff. So as the staff grew, and I got more girls that had the same philosophy as I did about teaching and inspiring kids, then that's what's grown, and it's all been word of mouth.
So when did it start? How did this all start?
Well, I was working at Children's Rehab, and I was coaching some cheer and dance teams in the area, and had an opportunity to start leasing some space to start doing, my preschool program. So it started with the preschool program, Gym Bugs. So that was all kind of just something that I came up with, knew I wanted to do, and loved working with the young ones. And so it started with that, and about the same time I was coaching the dance team at Tennessee. So a lot of those girls that danced for me at Tennessee then helped me kind of get Revolution started for the older girls. So now it's just very, we have a variety of classes and just really something for everybody. So it's been very exciting to see the growth, and what the girls are helping me do at the studio is just fantastic.
I just thought about something. You also had to make the leap from just being a member of a cheer team to being a captain to being a coach. Tell me about the emergence of and the development of Coach Julie.
I've always loved coaching. I've
What do you
always
love about
enjoyed
it?
that. I love seeing the personal growth, in the girls. That's really rewarding to me, and I love to try to inspire the camaraderie between the girls too. So I just had a fantastic group of girls that I worked with at Tennessee all 3 years, and it was just really a joy. It was something that I was passionate about and I loved, and I kind of in a way felt like I was able to give back to the university for the opportunities that were given to me too.
Do you ever run into young women and young girls in whom you see great possibility that don't see it themselves?
Oh yeah, every day almost. And it's amazing how young you can tell when somebody's got that true potential,
Really? How young, when do you see it?
I've got some 5-year-olds that I'm like, oh, she's gonna be fantastic if she hangs with it.
You know what, I think that's what I love about teachers and coaches and purveyors of possibility. There is nothing that jazzes me like that.
Yeah.
I sit here today because somebody saw that in me, right? So I lived on loaned possibility for many years, and then now I get to loan possibility.
Yeah.
You bank it up, and then you see some young person, you see that sparkle, you see the determination, you see maybe a little bit of lack of self-esteem or whatever, but if I can walk with them through that moment, they're going to be so incredible. And you know what I think teachers and coaches, I think they understand it after a certain point, but I don't know if they really truly estimate the power of, is this. When you look at someone and you truly see potential in them, it shows up in your eyes. There is
right.
an I believe in you look.
And they don't get it enough.
Right.
And I think that's where the whole program is flourishing from, because there's not enough places like our studio out there, unfortunately. And I had some rough coaches along the go that really kind of burnt me out and kind of, put a damper on my spirit. And I just knew that I wasn't going to run it that way, that we were going to be lifting these kids up, making them feel fantastic. And that's when they're in an environment like that, that's when they can learn. You can't learn when somebody's, got their thumb on you constantly, and, it's a, grueling process for you to go to a practice, So that's where the program design started, and that's what we've been able to hold true to. So
that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Like I said, you sit up straight.
I'm trying.
Right.
I try to think about it.
You do sit up straight, and I'm thinking about when life throws you a curve, but there's something about you. You have a forward intensity that is a beautiful display of possibility.
Oh, thank you so
Let's take
much.
a break. We'll come back. Julie Barton is my guest. This is Anything is Possible.
Coming up,
God guide my heart, God guide my steps, guide my words, so that, His love and His confidence that he has in all of us can hopefully shine through what I'm doing too.
Welcome back to Anything is Possible. Her business is called Revolution.
Revolution
that's one of
Dance.
the, give me the correct name?
Revolution Dance, yeah.
Revolution Dance. And I was thinking, this is Julie Barton, by the way, and you're watching Anything is Possible. Just then, before we came back on the air, I was just thinking about Revolution. Why'd you name it that?
Well, I thought it was a catchy play on words, you know, because you're doing a revolution when you turn, and then kind of a revolution in that we wanted to have a different philosophy of the way that we were training girls for dance. So.
Talk to me about your family.
My family's great. I have 2 older brothers, and my parents live out in Walland, and my brothers live in Maryville, so we've all been able to stay really close. I grew up on a farm.
You're a farm girl?
I'm a farm girl.
Tell me all the things you can do on a farm.
Oh, well, you know, it was a horse farm. So
you know
horses are yes, we know horses very well, and that requires a lot of work. So lots of hay bales thrown in my day and lots of cleaning out stalls.
You have clean stalls.
I know how to use a pitchfork for sure.
All right, tell me about your nuclear family, your husband, your kids.
My husband, Jason, is fantastic. We've been married coming up on 14 years.
And you're still blushing?
Oh, yes.
Look at you.
He is the love of my life, let me tell you. My grandmama told me when she first met him, first time she met him, she said, he's a keeper. And that is the truth for sure. God blessed me with Jason, and I don't intend on letting him go. So he's fantastic, and God's blessed us with 3 very healthy, wonderful children. Cody's 7, Cade's 4, and our little baby girl Blakely's coming up on her 1-year birthday. I can't believe it. But
you know, when I'm sitting here thinking about possibility, I have had the good pleasure of, we were talking earlier today and somebody says it's been a tough week, it's been a long week. No, it hasn't. This is lemon cookies is what this is. Yeah. This is just fun. But as I've met so many leaders, the one thing I've started to think about, and possibility people, because I think we're all leaders at some level, possibility people have to find a way to press reset. Because when you walk into your business every day, you set the tempo for that business. You set the tempo for what people believe is possible. You set the culture. So I wanted to ask you, how do you reset your perspective? What keeps you charged up? What keeps you engaged? What keeps you believing?
I think that it is a daily commitment to choose happiness. You know? I think there's just so much that you can focus on, negative, whether it's pain, whether it's, you know, a difficult situation at home or your family life. I think to some degree, you just got to choose happiness, and you've got to try to, you know, create that happiness in every environment you're placed in. So,
how did you learn to choose that?
Oh gosh, that's a hard question.
That is a good one, isn't it?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it has a lot to do with my upbringing. My parents were wonderful parents. My grandmother was really something special. I miss her dearly.
What's her name?
Her name is Norma Shields Cunningham. She grew up in Cades Cove, and is just the neatest story. Her, you know, to go around Cades Cove with we called her G-Mom, and everybody in the community called her G-Mom. But to go around Cades Cove with her, and to hear her tell the stories of struggle and heartache and how they persevered as a people, her story is just remarkable. She was a school teacher for, gosh, I think like 39 years, and she just was the hardest working, most positive lady ever, and we just had a really, really neat relationship. And you talk about people believing in you. My G-Mom, you know, I think I could do no wrong in her eyes. I kind of hung the moon, and just to feel that from somebody, just I think is really sometimes all it takes.
When somebody really believes in you, you see it in their eyes. Whether they're giving you good information or giving you tough love, you see it in their eyes. And her setting that model of perseverance, the way you showed up here today, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll try to figure out a way we can post this or whatever. When I see a spine like that, you really have a strong, straight spine. I mean, you really embrace life that way. But then when you said that your G-Mom was a teacher, and I think about what you're doing at Revolution every day. You really are just taking the power of her life and redistributing it to a bunch of young ladies who are learning to believe. And I'm sure you've had people come back to you years later and say, hey, guess what? Because you believed in me, I've achieved this, or I've found this to be possible. And isn't that just the most wonderful thing?
It is, and that's my job. I mean, I kind of feel bad getting paid for it because it's so rewarding, you know, and I just, I mean, I praise God for it every day, truly, because my job is so rewarding, and just to be able to make that kind of impact on kids. And certainly I don't do it alone. I'm really picky about who I hire.
As you should be.
And the girls that I have working with me are just, they just embody the same spirit, and they just love kids, and they're passionate about, you know, really inspiring them to love dance the way that they do. You know, some people can do it, and some people, you know, they might be the most amazing dancer ever, but they can't break it down and teach it in a fashion that the kids can grab hold of. And so I've learned that over the years, what to look for in my teachers, so that, you know, they're teaching it the way I'd want it to be taught. You know, I'm not going to be teaching our elite jazz class. You know,
Right.
I've got a super qualified girl that comes in and teaches elite jazz. But what I hope I can inspire her and show her and, you know, look for in the staff is that kind of confidence building that she's going to, you know, teach her students.
You've got a great story, and I think you've got a great opportunity to shape a lot of lives. You'll make a revolution, really. It's not just the flips, it's the change of spirit that you allow people to get to. Before you get away, if I had Colonel Sanders here today, what I would want from Colonel Sanders is not a piece of chicken. What I would want is the recipe, right? What's your recipe for life, love, success, possibility? What's your secret recipe?
I think, you know, kind of like I mentioned earlier, you choosing happiness every day. And then I think, you know, I really try to, as cheesy as it sounds, talk to God every day in the car on the way to wherever I'm going, you know, and just, God, guide my heart, God, guide my steps, guide my words, so that, you know, His love and His confidence that He has in all of us can hopefully shine through what I'm doing too.
Well, when he sees this interview, he's going to flip. Julie, thank you for being here today.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
That's Anything is Possible. We'll see you next week.